All right, so let's look at the cardiac cycle. The cardiac cycle is a rhythmic contraction and relaxation of both atria and ventricles. And I'm going to give you a couple terms here, terms associated, you've probably heard them associated with blood pressure. So one is systole. Systole is a phase when a heart chamber wall contracts, and diastole is a phase when a heart chamber wall relaxes. So here, what you're seeing here is that both the atria are going to contract and relax together. All right, and so also both the ventricles are going to contract and relax together. So here you can see they're contracting together. Up here they're relaxing together. Okay, so the thing is when the atria are contracting, their ventricles are relaxed. So they're literally pushing blood down into the ventricles. Okay, and so the ventricles have to be relaxed in order to fill with blood. And so when the ventricles contract, the atria are relaxing. So the ventricles are pushing blood up and out of the heart and either to the lungs or the body. Okay, and at that point, the atria are filling up with blood, returning either from the lungs or from the body. All right, so atria contract, ventricles are relaxed, ventricles contract, atria are relaxed. So our heart beats about 75 times a minute. The normal range here is between 60 and 100. So let's take a look at the path of blood. In the path of blood, there are two systems in here. One is the pulmonary circuit, and these are blood vessels that carry blood to and from the lungs. And the other, so that's pulmonary circuit, the other is the systemic circuit. And this is the blood vessels that carry blood to and from the body tissues. Both types of these circuits work and they occur at the same time. All right? Now I'm going to go through the pathway of blood, and I'm going to go from here to here, to here, to here, to here, to here, but knowing that blood enters that right atrium and left atrium at the same time. Blood gets pushed down into the ventricles at the same time. Blood gets pushed up and out of those at the same time. All right, so let's look at this blood flow. So as if you're a single red blood cell. All right, so blood is going to enter that right atrium from the superior and inferior vena cavas. And this blood is low in oxygen because it's come from the body. All right, so the right atrium has to be relaxed in order to fill with that blood. So once it fills with blood, that right atrium fills with blood, it's going to contract and it's going to push blood down into the right ventricle. Now, sometimes you'll hear me say this, so instead of saying, I'll say the right atria contracts, but what I really mean is the right atrial walls contract. I'll say those interchangeably, sorry. Okay, so right atrium contracts, it's going to push blood down into the right ventricle. The right ventricle needs to be relaxed in order for this to occur. Once the right ventricle fills with blood, it's going to contract and it's going to push blood through the pulmonary semilunar valve into the pulmonary trunk. At the same time, that tricuspid valve closes. Blood then moves from the pulmonary trunk to the pulmonary arteries to capillaries within the lungs. And this is where we're going to have gas exchange occurs. So blood is going to move from the pulmonary arteries to the capillaries in the lungs. Now the capillaries surround alveoli. These are small little air sacs of the lungs. And what's going to happen here is that here's an alveolus, here is a blood capillary. So here oxygen diffuses from the alveolus into the blood, carbon dioxide diffuses in the opposite direction. So now we see, right, so it was blue, now the blood is red, not actually just indicating oxygenation levels, all right? So that's what we see here. So now the blood is high in oxygen, low in carbon dioxide, and so the blood will move into the pulmonary veins. So the blood will move from the pulmonary veins into the left atrium. The left atrium has to be relaxed in order to fill with blood. Once it fills with blood, the left atrium is going to contract, and it's going to push blood down into the left ventricle, going through that bicuspid valve. Once the left ventricle fills with blood, it will contract and it will push blood through the aortic semilunar valve into the aorta. Same time that bicuspid valve closes. Blood then moves from the aorta to arteries, to capillaries all over the body. And so next you're going to have blood vessels by body cells, right? And so you're going to have gas exchange occurring again. So here oxygen diffuses into the body cells, carbon dioxide diffuses out of those body cells into the blood. Now, the reason this occurs is because aerobic respiration occurs in our body cells. So our body cells, as long as they're alive, they have a constant demand for energy. If they have a constant demand for energy, they have to constantly break down glucose or other biomolecules to get that energy, ATP. And in order to do that, they have to use oxygen. So we're constantly consuming oxygen in our body cells, and we're producing carbon dioxide as a byproduct of breaking down that glucose. So oxygen diffuses into body cells, carbon dioxide diffuses from body cells into the blood. Now the blood is low in oxygen, high in carbon dioxide. And so here the blood goes from those capillaries into veins, into the superior and inferior vena cava, and we start this process all over again. So blood will move from the right atrium to the right ventricle to the lungs, to the left atrium to the left ventricles, out to the body, and back to the right atrium. Now, once again, remember, blood goes into the right atrium and left atrium at the same time, gets pushed down into the ventricles at the same time, gets pushed up and out of the heart at the same time.